A big question then, how many people are going to view that video in the last 24 hours and think twice about booking with United?
Well, the number who saw it is definitely in the tens of millions based upon the spread of social media. But the real question for United and a lot of investors would be how many people will change their behavior and choose another airline. And I think that's what really remains to be demonstrated to see if the public anger that's out there is actually going to translate into business results.
The CEO and the PR team around United, in the eyes of many people, struggling to grapple with the 140-character era that dominates things at the moment. The statement that they did put out was torn to pieces on social media yesterday and today as well. The CEO's response to this, Justin, how is it being taken? Because he used the word reaccommodating passengers. That's not gone down well at all.
No, it didn't. And I think the reason is that people felt that they were really sort of acting tone deaf about what actually happened on the video and what people saw to see the CEO come out and apologize for a reaccommodation, when in fact it was really quite a bit more brutal than that in the eyes of many people who watched the video.
Well, internally, reportedly, in a copy of which the airline provided to Bloomberg News, and an internal message sent to United employees, the CEO used the words disruptive for the passenger and belligerent. Justin, how does the CEO turn it around in the next couple of days?
Well, it's going to be tricky in the next couple of days because they've already come out with their public statements, and so they're going to have to probably come out with more public statements. And one of the things that occurred early in this was that if United felt that the passenger was being disruptive and not following a lawful command, as it were, they didn't really say that. They said several other things, but they didn't actually talk about how they felt that the passenger was a threat to their crew or any other thing because he wasn't following an order. And frankly, when you're on an airplane and they tell you to get out of your seat, you really do have to get out of your seat because that's in the contract that you purchased with your ticket.
Justin, airlines overbook all the time. They do it on almost every flight. They try and exceed capacity because they know things fluctuate when it comes to actually taking off in terms of the plane. Going forward, how do they handle these things better? Supply, demand, there's always a price to bring things into equilibrium. Why didn't they just offer a bigger price to get people to vacate the plane?
Right, and I think that's the question a lot of people have, is saying everybody gives up their seat for the right price, correct? And I think that's true, but what happens in a lot of these cases is that an airline is not going to just write a blank check, and they have limits on what the gate agents can offer in most situations, nearly every airline, because you don't want to see an abuse of the system by employees being a little bit less than mindful about what they're doing. So what needs to happen is that in a situation like that, clearly somebody on that plane would have given up the seats that United needed for employees if the price had been correct. And it could have been a case where the gate agents were just stymied because they had hit the limit and felt that they didn't have the authority to go higher. In that case, you probably definitely needed a supervisor to step in and say, you know, we can handle this situation differently.
Hey, Justin, great to have you with us on the programme to break this down. A stock down in the pre-market by about 3 full percentage points. Remains to be seen, Alex, whether anyone actually sees the video. They're outraged, fine. But then tomorrow, when they compare United to Delta and to everyone else, whether the lower price is the one that actually wins the day.
But that's the thing, the lower price. Are they going to have to discount more when airlines were finally getting their pricing power back? That's where it's going to get tricky.
And that's tricky for investors in the market this morning.